Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Cube with Sister Shahj.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. It is 10th of July, 10 o'clock exactly, and it's a wonderful Monday morning. Well, it's been a great start for me anyway. You are listening to me, Shahj, taking it all the way up to 11 o'clock on Where Else. It's the Urban Cube Show brought to you on Inspire FM, going live and direct to all the wonderful people across Luton. Plus, we are live to our wonderful listeners in Sheffield on Link FM and Peterborough's Salam Radio. Hope you're good, folks. Hope you're having a great start to the week. I am so glad that the temperature has dropped a notch slightly. I don't know how you're feeling about that. Well, I'm definitely happy that it's got a little bit cooler. I can't I'll keep up with it, but I'm not complaining right now. So yeah, that cool breeze was a great start for me this morning. How's your morning been so far? I hope you've had a motivating start, and hope you'll remain motivated listening in to the show this morning. Now, the show you're listening into, folks, is the Urban Cube. It's a show that celebrates creativity and lifestyle by interesting, trailblazing Muslims that are local, national, and international. I have conversations with them about their creativity and what they are doing. And the whole aim is to kind of get you involved, engaged, and inspired by their stories. And today's show is no exception. I'm actually joined by a local Luton brother who is going to be talking to me about his creative journey. Now, it's going to be about films and filmmaking. So if there's anybody listening in that would like to maybe ask a question regarding filmmaking, then this show is definitely one for you. So do contact us on Facebook. You can leave a message on or leave a comment on the Facebook page. It's the Inspire FM Facebook page. On the page, leave your comments and inshallah we'll read them out. And if you'd like to maybe leave us a message, we'll read those out too on 07779481822. So who have I got joined with me now? Unfortunately, not in the studio, but he is via Zoom this morning, and so the conversation will be via Zoom. If there's any technical glitches, I do apologize for that, but hopefully it will all be going well. Now, on today's show, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined again, because he has been a guest on the show previously, by local actor, writer, and director, and founder of Hidden Tiger Films. It is no other than Shahj Miah. Now, Shahj is talking to me about his short film, Gangs of Luton 2. And he's going to be talking to us about how he is highlighting the consequences of drug dealing and educating the youth through film. A very, very poignant and very significant topic, and it's I'm going to be definitely all ears on how he is using the platform of creativity to connect with communities and young people on an issue which has really, really been a bit of a disease in our communities. Gang culture has, not just our community, but across the country and even across the world. So this is quite a very sensitive and very, very significant topic, which Shahj from Luton is tackling in his films, and it's it's not the first film he's created. There's other films as well, and we'll find out about that too. And also we're finding out about his acting journey, how that's been going, because I understand he's also featuring in a local production that's happening around the stories of Bury Park. So I'm all ears, and I hope you guys are as well. If you want to join in with any of the conversations, any contributions you want to make, anything that you would like to say about maybe tackling youth crime, then we would love to hear from you, and I'm happy to read out those messages on the show this morning. It's 07779481822, and I believe Shahj is ready to join us. Assalamu alaikum, Shahj.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I appreciate you're super, super busy. You've had a bit of a busy weekend, which we'll find out what that was about. But firstly, brother, how are you getting on this morning?
Yeah, it's good. The weather's actually quite nice. I'm enjoying the sunshine. I'm just outside at the moment.
Oh, tell us more. I always ask everybody if they're via Zoom, give us a description. Tell us what you're doing, where you're at.
I'm just outdoors and trying to enjoy the greenery. Yeah, I mean, the weather's nice and I'm trying to get my vitamin levels up. That's it, really.
I like that. Get your vitamins levels up. And are you using sunscreen?
Not today, because I don't think so it's hot enough, but I normally do. It's very important. I always tell my kids to wear it, but I don't always happy to do so.
Fantastic. And you know what? Just because we're a bit brown doesn't mean that we shouldn't be protecting our skin. There is this thing, isn't there, where it's like a new thing that we're hearing. And we're being educated about. But as always, any information provided on this show, please do get the right medical advice. And any opinions on the show are not of the radio station, they are of our guests. So I thought I'd get that one out of the way. But coming back to sunscreen, I'm really pleased to hear Shahj, that you encourage that with your children, because the UV rays are quite fierce, and I'm noticing we're all tanning quite a lot. I've noticed I've tanned quite a lot more than I have in previous years, so it just seems to be a lot fiercer. So please stay protected. Wear loose cotton clothes, keep your arms covered, put a hat on, if you're out there with for the children, kind of keep them protected, because it's dangerous actually not having the correct protection when you're out in the sun for too long. I thought I'd mention that in there. So thank you for that reminder, Shahj. So moving on, mashallah, it's been a while since we spoke to you last. I think the last time I spoke to you was about Hidden Tiger Films. You are a filmmaker. You're the founder of Hidden Tiger Films. You're an actor and producer and dad, it seems, as well, because you've just mentioned you've got kids. How did this journey begin for you?
I mean, I've always been into film, so I've got a big appreciation for media and film and cinema. But I'd give some credit to my niece, actually. She won like a monologue slam under 18, and she had the opportunity for a role, which she kind of referred me to it instead and said my uncle would be a perfect fit. And that was for the movie The Flood, which I did which got released in 2019. So that was quite a surreal experience. And I got in, I was invited to the premiere and everything, and invited to various radio stations like yourself. And just from there, really, I got the bug, you could say. And I'm like, right now, I really enjoy this. I tried to continue with the acting, and I still am, to be fair. But what I did enjoy is, I like to be creative, and I have a bunch of stories in my head I would like to tell. So just meeting various different people, I said, let's get together and create something ourselves. And that's where the idea of Hidden Tiger Films came about. Whereas let's create our own stories. And in the meantime, obviously, continue with acting and writing and doing other things as well as I can in my spare time.
How fantastic. It was your niece that put you forward to feature in this film, and the rest is history. Are we allowed to give your niece a bit of a shout out? Do we know who she is? Firstly, give us her name. Oh, he's gone quiet. Oh, can you hear me, Shahj?
I can hear you.
Brilliant. Yes, I can. So who's your niece, firstly? And does she have any connection with Inspire FM by any chance?
Yeah, I said, yes. Her name is Sonia Chowdhury. You may know of her.
I do know that name. And does she actually present one of our shows by any chance?
I believe so. Is it like Sisters something? Sisters something. I don't know the name.
I don't think Sonia would appreciate you not knowing the show title. Come on, Uncle Shahj. It is. It's Sisters Speak, and no other than Sister Sonia, who does an absolutely fantastic job. Do check out the Sisters Speak show. It's every week. Brilliant topics, guys. These are really amazing young coming together and really getting some great conversations happening on subjects that matter. And talking of subjects that matter, now the whole purpose of you doing Hidden Tiger Films, you've just mentioned that it's about telling our stories. Why is it important to tell our stories? I don't think he wants to tell me the story. I've lost him again. I think there's been a bit of a technical glitch. Whilst we wait for Shahj to come back on, I will just share with you what the interview today is going to be all about. Now, I'm joined by local actor, writer and director, and founder of Hidden Tiger Films, Shahj Miah. Shahj joins me to talk about his short film, Gangs of Luton, and how he is highlighting the consequences of drug dealing and educating the youth through films. Shahj, we can hear you. The question that I asked. The question I asked was, why is it important for us to be telling our own stories? Why is it important for you to do that? I don't think he wants to tell me his story. I've lost him again. Okay, whilst we find out and get him some support on sorting out the technical glitch there, please feel free to join us on the show today if you've got any questions you want to ask on 07779 481822. And if there are any summer projects that are happening that can kind of encourage young people to stay active, then that would be awesome too, because it is just a week or 2 weeks away from the summer holidays. Hello, Shahj. It's great to have you back. I don't know what's happening there. I think you keep muting yourself. So what you need to do is stay away from the mic on if you're using your laptop. This is all about. This is what this trade is all about, isn't it? The technical glitches and kind of getting overcoming them, and it's live radio. So so entertaining for our listeners as well.
I think I'm using my phone, so I think when I put my phone to my ear is touching the button that says done speaking.
So try and keep it away, but we can hear you. We can hear you clearly. Just keep your ear away from the mute button.
I won't put it to my ear.
Bless you. Now, coming back to the question that I wanted to ask you, Shahj, why is it important for us to be telling our stories, and why have you taken that responsibility to do so?
Yeah, I mean, I think, even though we are an ethnic minority in this country, I think we have a big part to play. And we have a lot of people that look at media or need education or need entertainment, and they're just not getting from our point of view.
Okay.
So when I was involved in that kind of or in the acting kind of arena, I just wanted to see more of myself. I know don't get me wrong, there are South Asians out there, but the directors, the producers, the people behind it are often telling stories that we sometimes can't relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, it'd be good if someone that was out there who could do that. There are many South Asian influences out there, but I also feel like sometimes they always kind of go towards comedy, and I wanted to go kind of away from comedy and more towards meaningful stories.
Interesting. So it's the meaningful stories. And when you say meaningful stories, what sort of stories do you find meaningful?
I mean, obviously, meaningful stories can mean a lot of different things to many different people, depending what angle they're coming from. What I'm trying to say is tackle issues that are affecting our communities. So I know in Luton, it could be a problem we've got the gang culture and the drug dealing issues. We've got mental health issues, which is affecting all of England, really, and the South Asian community, which I've touched upon previously. So it's things of that nature, which may not get the media coverage and even the film coverage, if I may say, on mainstream media. So it's an alternative angle, an alternative view, which some people may find really beneficial.
It's quite a heavy loaded subject, isn't it? So trying to put that into a script and onto the screen, has that been an easy process? And how have you been able to get the research in place to create the script?
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right in that. It's very difficult, and it's important that we stay accurate to the facts and do the best we can when we convey a story. So with regards to mental health, it was, I got in contact with the local charity, and I made sure they provided and kind of oversaw the production from beginning to end to make sure everything was on point and nothing was said or done that would that would be incorrect. So I think it's important to get in contact with any sort of experts if you can, with regards to certain subjects like mental health. And there was Dr. Jalel who was involved with that. He's got a PhD in psychiatry, and he's got a charity called Our Mind Matters. So I worked with him for that. For this Gangs of Luton, which is tackling the subject of drug dealing, I mean, it's hard to say. I am not involved in that world in any way whatsoever. I must say this now. However, I know a lot of people, and I've gotten advice, and I've spoken to a few different people in and around Luton who give advice, and who've obviously gone past that. They don't do that any longer, for example, but they've given advice on what it's like and what has happened and how to move forward. So there's definitely research has been done writing that script, and obviously making sure staying sensitive to people's feelings.
Of course, and obviously there's an element of safety as well, and because this is a story around crime, I'm assuming, gang culture is a crime in itself. That's my opinion. But were you not worried or a little bit scared that you might be treading into an area that is quite risky, and it could impact you, it could impact the actors in any way?
Yeah, nobody, even the drug dealers themselves, can't deny what they're doing is wrong. Yeah. So, and the people, and people know me, people know my family, so I'm pretty sure I'm cool. I'm fine. And I've got no worries whatsoever. I haven't done anything to offend anybody, to be fair. I don't believe so. I've just kept it something that is undeniably true. When you watch Gangs of Luton 2, something happens in it that's undeniably true, and nobody can deny it. So, there's nothing to worry about really from my point of view, and all the actors are happily want to portray this message of truth and goodness. And I think it's something that needs to be tackled without the fear of repercussions. I don't think so. There would be. There's no reason why.
Okay, and you're so confident in saying that. You're so self-assured in saying that, and that gives me confidence too, because it shows that you've done your research, and you are proud of what your message is, and you stand by it. And the whole purpose is to I'm hoping to create change. That's what I'm assuming. But what are you hoping that the film will actually do?
Yeah, of course, I haven't named anybody on and it's purely fictional. However, the elements of the story can be true. So by portraying such a story, I want to educate the youth, mainly the younger people who may not be involved in that world, who may be tempted, who may have just kind of got into that world of dealing and stuff like this. Is like, look, drugs are bad. We all know this, but what are the real consequences of selling drugs? Forget prison and all this kind of stuff, because people are okay, we can get away with it or whatever. It's the consequences that affects our own community. That's what I want to show. Because normally when people do drug dealing, they sell the product and then they move on. They don't actually think what the consequences there is, but there could be affecting their own community, their own family members. And because drugs can lead to burglary, violent crimes, overdosing, and many other things.
It's a domino effect, isn't it? It's not just, it has so many repercussions. I can't even say that word, which is like a ripple effect. So it's not just one area impacts, it impacts so many areas, like you've just said.
Yeah, and it's just like trying to educate the youth that it's not worth it. Having a fancy trainers or a fancy car, it's not worth it when the eventual consequence is your own house gets burgled or your own cousin gets killed. Is it worth it then? For your little bit of extra money, it's not worth it. So stay away from it, really.
I want to go back to the people that you spoke to regarding the research. What was their initial response to you? Were they supporting a film like this? And what did they want you to make sure that you represented, or the message that you wanted to share?
Yeah, so obviously I can't say who and or anything like this, but what they wanted was, they wanted it not to be glamorized at all.
Okay.
Because sometimes when you watch other crime dramas and things like that, sometimes there's a bit of glamour and coolness to it. Oh, look how cool they are! Look how, so they wanted to make sure that it's not glamorized at all, and you get to see like the real problems that come with such a thing, and to focus on one point, focus on the real consequences, how it's just a downward spiral. There's nothing positive on it. So they said, like, try to make sure nothing positive is shown. obviously make sure you make people aware that it's fictional, because I take liberties, of course, with some of the story elements, but I had to portray that message. So they were fully supportive, because the people I spoke to is people I know. And obviously, I can't tell you how I know them, but yeah, so they're fully supportive of the story, and just making sure I don't glamorize any aspect of it whatsoever.
Have they seen it themselves? And if they have, what has their feedback been?
To be fair, I haven't even fully finished it yet, so we're just polishing up a little bit. It's kind of the first draft, not even the first draft, that's the wrong word to use. It's in order. Mm-hmm. So there's a few more things to do with regards to music and sound effects, and then hopefully within the next 2 weeks I can release it. But yeah, I haven't shown anybody yet, other than me and my team.
Fantastic. Now, when it is released, are you going to have a launch event? And where are people going to be seeing this? And I understand it's not the first; it's the second.
Yeah. So you're right. So Gangs of Luton is actually a part 2 to a story. Part 1 was released on YouTube like a year ago, and so this is the conclusion to that story. So where will we release it? Yeah, the idea is to release on YouTube so the most eyes can get to it. And we know a lot of people on the smartphones can access YouTube, etc. But having a launch event is a good idea. It's not something I thought about. So something maybe I need to think about, actually.
Maybe we need to get Sonia on board as well and do something.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I never thought about that.
Oh, fantastic. We're all about ideas on this show, aren't we, Shahj? And it's great that you were actually creating this platform through Hidden Tiger Films. Folks, if you've just tuned in, you are listening to the Urban Cube. I am Shahj Miah, taking you all the way up to 11 o'clock this morning. Thank you for allowing me to keep you company. This morning on the show, I'm joined by a local brother. He's a local actor, writer, and director, and he's the founder of Hidden Tiger Films. He's no other than Shahj Miah. Now, Shahj joins me to talk about his short film, Gangs of Luton, which is the second section of this film. He's already released the first version. Now it's the second, Gangs of Luton 2. And the whole purpose is this film is about how he's highlighting the consequences of drug dealing and educating youth through this film, inshallah, which hopes to release in 2 weeks' time. Now, Shahj, folk are listening in from not just Luton surrounding areas. They're listening in from Peterborough on Salam Radio and Sheffield's Link FM. The issues that you talk about in the film around gang and youth culture and crime, is the story relatable to other parts of the country too? And what would you say to our listeners in other parts of the country? Should they be tuning in and watching this film? Would it benefit them?
Yes, 100%. I mean, I've decided to set in Luton because that's where I'm from.
Of course.
Born and raised there, and the setting, the actual location, shot. And I know of the people in Luton, but 100%, I'm sure this is something that can be relatable to many towns out there. Many of our brothers and sisters are being affected by this across the UK, and I'm sure even in other countries. So wherever you're from, I highly recommend you tune in to our Hidden Tiger Films YouTube channel to watch this film and hopefully get an understanding. It's fully relatable. There is nothing specific about it making it Luton, to be fair. It's purely just, you can say, marketing, gang in Luton. It could be called Gangs of Sheffield, to be fair. There's nothing that actually connects it to Luton other than the sites and the location that it's in.
Because it's quite deceptive, isn't it? I mean, it's like, gosh, that's quite a loaded title. So I'm glad you've kind of explained that the actual subject matter can be any part of the country. It's not specific to Luton. It's just because it's where you filmed it. And I wanted to quickly ask you just before we head to the break. It's a lot of parents are obviously impacted by, when their kids are just wanting to be a bit more independent. And in today's society, a lot of parents are quite scared to allow their children to have too much independence, especially with social media and the influencers and obviously gang culture. So does this film kind of help them learn or educate them in how to tackle this? Or we are heading to the break, and I know this is quite an important question that I'm asking you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to answer that question straight after the break. But for any parents kind of listening in, could they, get in contact with you and find out more about the film, or can any, youth centres, there's youth schemes, kind of get in touch with you too?
I 100% recommend people to get in touch with me if they want to discuss any matters further. And there is an element to it where parents can see from the film of what they could have done to stop this in advance.
Interesting.
I can touch upon a bit more of that later. But 100% get in touch with me through my many channels, and I'm happy to speak to them.
Okay, fantastic. So as I'd already said, we are heading to a break, and after the break, we are still joined with Shahj Miah from his garden to talk about his filmmaking and Hidden Tiger films. So join me straight after this. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Omar Regan.
This is Brother Bona Mohammed.
This is Nabil Abdul Rashid.
This is Naeem Raza.
My name is Sheikh Hafs Al Ghazi.
My name is Julie Siddiqui.
This is Moses the Comet.
This is your brother Raheem Jung.
This is Preacher Maz.
This is Rizwan Hussein.
This is Baba Ali.
This is Fatih Safaragich.
This is Naveed Aziz, and you are listening to the best radio station in Luton, Inspire FM.
Attention all electricians, builders and DIY enthusiasts. Capital Electrical Wholesalers are now open in Luton. It's a fully stocked branch with experienced staff on hand to help with all your electrical needs. With branches also in Greenford, Tottenham, Richmond and Ashton. Capital Electrical Wholesalers only stock the biggest names, including JCC, Saxby, Knightsbridge, Hamilton, MK, Wilex, Hager, Aco Smoke Alarms and many more. That's Capital Electrical at Unit M, Kingsway Industrial Estate. Call 01582 801122.
For expert legal advice and support, talk with Luton's leading solicitors, Hannah Solicitors. We specialise in conveyancing, wills and probate, family law, immigration and personal injury, legal matters that matter to you. Our experienced legal team are here to help you through every step of the way. Call 01582 329 069. That's 01582 329 069, or click on hannahsolicitors.co.uk. Hannah Solicitors, professional advice with a tailored approach.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أحب لله وأبغض لله وأعطى لله ومنع لله فقد استكمل الإيمان. That he who loves for the sake of Allah, hates for the sake of Allah, gives for the sake of Allah and denies for the sake of Allah, he has completed his Iman.
Biscott Pharmacy, your one-stop health and beauty pharmacy in Luton. Stockist of over 8,000 health and beauty products. At Biscott Pharmacy, we offer a range of services, including health advice and repeat prescriptions for collection and delivery to your home. We also offer a Hajj and Umrah vaccination. Come in and see us and ask about our stop smoking service. We're open 7 days a week till late, including bank holidays. Biscott Pharmacy, 157A Biscott Road, Luton. Call 457709.
Millions of people all over the world are suffering from food insecurity. People in Yemen, Gaza, and Syrian refugees go without food on a daily basis. Help us change this by providing bread for them every day. From as little as £18, you can help provide enough bread to feed almost 400 people and help save lives. Donate today. Call 01582 211 066 or visit www.crisisaid.org.uk and help us save lives.
Oh, Hillary, I was going to use newspaper display advertising. But it costs £10 per inch.
And that's too expensive.
Oh, indeed it is. I want to sell a 10-foot ladder.
Oh, Roger. Invest in an ear-catching advertising campaign on this radio station instead. It's a great way to tell people about your products and service.
For details, click on inspirefm.org, then advertise. From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Cube with Sister Shamiah.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and assalamu alaikum. It is 10:30, the 10th of July, Monday morning, and you're listening to me, Shamiah, taking you all the way up to 11 o'clock. Where else? It's on Inspire FM, of course, and it is the Urban Cube Show. And this morning, I'm joined by... Let me just take those words back. It's too early in the morning for me, it seems. I'm joined this morning by a wonderful guest who is local to us in Luton, and they're joining us from their garden on Zoom this morning to talk to us about a wonderful, wonderful project that they have been creating for the benefit of the community. They are actually they've produced a film because they are a film producer and founder, writer, director, and actor. And the film company is Hidden Tiger Films. And this morning, I'm going to be talking to them. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Shahj Miah, who is talking to us about his short film, Gangs of Luton 2, which will be releasing in 2 weeks' time. And he's talking about how he is highlighting the consequences of drug dealing and educating the youth through film. So today's show is about educating communities through film and creativity. So it's an absolute pleasure to have Shahj join us. Now, if you'd like to listen back to any of the conversation that's had, if it's been missed, you can go back to the Facebook page on Inspire FM, and also you can have go to the listen back link on the website as well. So it's an absolute pleasure to have Shahj join us this morning. We also are going out to the wonderful people of Sheffield, Link FM, and Peterborough Salam Radio. Shahj, thank you for staying with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
How's your garden looking, my brother?
It's all right, I'm not much of a gardener, but it's decent.
It's decent. It's at least you're outside, you're enjoying it. I mean, one thing I've noticed is that the greenery looks really luscious at the moment. It just seems like everything's blooming. The amount of roses I've seen whenever I've gone out on walks, and some gardens will just have a few roses, but I'm just seeing more and more roses everywhere. So I think it's the blessing of this weather. We've had a good amount of rain and a good amount of sunshine. But coming back to the topic in hand, it was a question that I gave to you just before the break was parents, really, and how to kind of connect and support parents who might be impacted by their youngster falling into the prey of gang culture. And which is, you could be the best parent ever and provide the best skills as a parent and connect to your child. But sometimes somewhere down the line, it's that young person could be influenced indirectly. And I think this is what I really want to point out, that it's so unpredictable, isn't it, Shahj? You just don't know.
Yeah. Before I address that, can I just quickly touch upon the previous question that you asked?
Yes, go ahead.
It just came to my mind because I know one thing about people saying it's Gangs of Luton and trying to make Luton bad. I'm not trying to make Luton bad whatsoever. I'm very proud of being from Luton, and I think Luton's a brilliant place. You could say Gangs of Luton is purely you could say it's a marketing thing, because as you may know, there's things called Gangs of London, Gangs of Wasipur, Gangs of... There's so many different things.
So you're being a bit cheeky with your marketing. That's what it is. You're playing on that, and I'm really glad you clarified that, because we don't want to have this negative spotlight on our town, but we don't want to hide away from the reality that it is an issue that is impacting our young people. So it's got swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, it's a small minority, so I just want to make sure I just want to make tell everybody that Luton's a brilliant place. I've lived here all my life, and I'm never going to move. I'll be honest with you, I love it here. So it's a small minority of people, but even this minority needs help. Just like we are an ethnic minority, that still needs to be addressed. So that's what I just wanted to say.
And it's interesting you said this minority of people needs help.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
No, because Luton is still, as I mentioned, Luton and many places, it's still overall a very nice and lovely place with wonderful people. Luton is full of wonderful people, but there's a minority of people within Luton that needs help, and within many other towns that need help. Just like we are ethnic minority in this country, so it doesn't mean we ignore the minority. In fact, this minority needs help even more so because they're a small number.
Indeed.
So,
and I'm hoping, inshallah, it resonates and it discourages young people to kind of get involved with gang crime. And the other question that I asked was about parents and supporting parents, because it's not just the young people, it's the parents that need education, support, and how to tackle this.
Yeah, I think with a lot of parents, I'm still a fairly young parent, but the way I handle things is make sure I'm always asking questions and making sure I'm fully involved in my child's life. And I have seen and I've heard stories, unfortunately, where maybe sometimes due to ignorance or sometimes they want to give their child certain freedoms, they're not maybe asking the right questions. Or if they see something unusual. So it is that education. So if they've got fancy clothes, fancy cars, where's it coming from if they're working just in a factory? Or not saying that's anything bad whatsoever, but if their career doesn't make sense to the money they're making of them on benefits and stuff like this, like, okay, I need to ask the right questions, make sure I'm fully involved with my children. And I think most of all, ultimately, because I'm a Muslim myself, is implement deen. If you implement deen, this will, I think, overcome most of the evils in society, because obviously Allah says it's wrong. So why would you do something that Allah says is wrong unless you don't want to disobey him? So if you can implement deen, the 5 prayers, then automatically they should stay away from these things. That's what my opinion,
Are you bringing
So I think
elements of deen into the film?
It was a tough one. I didn't.
Why did you not?
I wanted to do
I think we've just
Asian people.
So you wanted to broaden the audience watching this.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry, I done the same mistake by putting it to my ear. I just have it. I'm so sorry.
No worries. We can hear you now. Please do continue.
So, you asked why I didn't add elements of Islam to the story. It's because I wanted to show how, to a wider audience, to all South Asians, and just to anybody really, of how to overcome such a thing and just show the negative aspects and the consequence of it. So it's like, from a Muslim point of view, implement deen. But for someone who's not Muslim, what can they do? So I didn't want to marginalize the people who are not Muslims who may still have such a problem.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And is this support accessible to people after they've watched the film and thinking, right, I've seen this, it's actually impacted me. What are the next steps?
Yeah, so I'm gonna in the description on the YouTube, just like my previous video, I'm gonna put helplines to local charities and advice centers who can give advice on this. And of course, they are always happy to I'm always happy to listen and talk to people as well if they want to speak to me directly.
And what was the response from the first Gangs of Luton 1?
Oh, it was very positive. It's got around 33,000 views, so it's got a lot of views. It was mainly very positive. A few criticisms that I got is mainly people saying, "Oh, this is not realistic." But I wanted to emphasize, again, that it's not supposed to be a true representation of Luton. It's mainly, as I mentioned, just a fictional story of how certain elements can happen in Luton or any other town, really. So people were hung up on some of the minor details that would never happen in Luton. But it's not about, as I mentioned, Luton per se. It's about this problem among South Asians across the UK.
So what's interesting is you got a lot of people watching it. And that's obviously motivated and inspired you to release the second one. So have you learnt from the first one what you're going to do and what you're not going to do this time?
I mean, part 1 and part 2 were kind of written together. So if you watch part 1, it ends on a cliffhanger. So I kind of expected it because the part one doesn't have the conclusion to the story, doesn't have the consequences really, doesn't really show it. It's more of a setup.
Okay.
So maybe my mistake was releasing a part of a story that doesn't have a full three-part act with a full moral anchor to it. It was just more of an introduction to this story.
And is there going to be a part 3, or is part 2 the end of that film?
Yeah, so part 1 and part 2 were written together as a complete arc. There's always room to grow, and I've got many stories in my head that can grow from this. Always depends on time and interest and many other factors. If we have any other projects in the pipeline, which we do. So if we ever do come back to it, it'll have to be on a later date.
Fantastic. Who are the actors? Where did the actors come from? And did you get any funding support to do this project? Because sometimes when we want to, if to do our own stories, it's always quite a struggle to kind of get the right funding in place.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no funding in place for this, or even my previous venture, or even the previous venture to that.
Oh,
We've been
wow.
doing it all. Yeah. So the last 3 short films we have done, or this will be our third, I would say. We've not had any funding, so it's all been out of our own pockets.
Why would you do that?
I mean, it's because I really care for the message and helping the community. So for me, it's not even about, okay, I mean, if I could get funding, that would be great. So it's not like I willingly chose not to get funding. It's like, okay, we didn't get funding. What should we do? Let's move on forward with it anyway, regardless, if that makes sense.
That's noble of you. And that's a real commitment, because script writing, get the actors, getting the film crew, getting it filmed, getting it edited for free and not on a voluntary basis. That's a real commitment.
Yeah, and I just want to give thanks to the entire team and the people involved with it. I mean, they've all done it for free. The most they've got is travel expenses and food on the day. But the actors, the team, everybody, we all do it for free, really. Purely for their passion and wanting to help the community.
Mashallah.
So, yeah.
So it's because they are so driven to create a difference and they felt very passionate about the subject. Do you know what? That's applaudable. And I'm really grateful for their free time as well. Do you recall any names? Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to right now? Or is there too many?
Obviously, the main actor, Zach, who plays Zach, his name is A.B. Riyad. Abdul Basit, you got Farhan, who plays the antagonist. You have Aisha. You have Arman, who's a local actor who's currently at Sixth Form College, or he may have graduated now, I think. But he does performing arts at Sixth Form College. So so there's a few people.
Fantastic, and it's so nice to hear that it's the younger generation really embracing this opportunity and hopefully creating change through their abilities in this film. Wow. What would you say to anybody listening in that's like, you know what, you're doing a great thing here, Shahj, and I want to support you? How can they connect with you?
They can connect with me through my various channels. So I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube under my name, Shahj Miah, or even Hidden Tiger Films, because my name can be difficult to spell. So Hidden Tiger Films, you can contact us, message us directly through any of these methods, and I will reply immediately. Or even if you leave a comment on one of our videos, I would reply to that as well and say how to connect with us. But yeah, that's how to connect with me or any of my team members.
Fantastic. Now, please spell your name and please pronounce it again, because I'm sure I've pronounced it incorrectly.
No, you haven't. I think it's fine. So I pronounce it Shahj, so a bit like Sergeant, Shahj. But I know people pronounce it slightly differently, which is totally fine. You spell it Shahj. So Sierra Hotel Alpha Hotel Juliet. That's my first name, and my surname is Miah. That's Miah. So that's it, really. So
fantastic.
You can find me in many places. Yeah.
Fantastic. So anybody listening in, please do connect with Shahj Miah on his social media handles regarding Gangs of Luton 2, which is releasing in 2 weeks. You haven't decided what the launch is going to be. There might be somebody listening in that wants to kind of support the launch, maybe, get a gathering an audience together. You never know. I mean, this is a beautiful thing about community radio. You don't know who's listening in, but I know that everybody has a big heart in this town. So I'm sure what you're doing is definitely going to be picked up. Inshallah. Inshallah. Now, that's your director debut with these films under Hidden Tiger Films. What about your acting? I mean, tell me about your acting. Is there any acting projects that you've done that we can look out for?
Yeah, so in fact, just yesterday, I did some voice recording for Museum of Stories or Applied Stories. They're doing something called Museum of Stories, and I think it's commissioned by Luton Arts. And I had a few roles. I had to voice a few different roles for this. This would be like an audio drama, audio stories, mini stories, scattered around Luton, if I believe correctly, where people could go with the phones, scan the QR code, and then listen into these stories. And these stories will be our true stories, and people phoned in and said about their experience living in Luton, and so it's all real and true. Yeah.
Interesting. So you got involved. So it's Museum of Stories, Bury Park. So it's actually located in Bury Park, these stories, and commissioned. It's actually the Arts Council funded with support from Luton Arts and the Heritage Fund, and produced by Finn Kennedy of Applied Stories. So tell me, what was your experience like about these stories, and who did you play, and were those stories relatable?
Yeah, so it's quite a unique experience for me because I've never done voice acting before. I've always been on screen. It's nice to be behind the screen and just use my voice and read from a script instead of memorizing. So that was good in that sense, I have to admit. So the posters were very good and very professional. The stories were amazing. I really related to them. A lot of them are set in the 90s, and I grew up in the 90s. So when I was doing this, when I was reading through the scripts and actually doing the voices, I felt like I was there at that point in Bury Park in the 90s, and that's without sound effects and everything else added in. So I can't wait for the end product. I think it would be amazing. Once it's all edited together, I think this will really transport people to how Bury Park was in the 90s, or even there's some stories from even older. So yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I think it would be great.
Fantastic. And it's lovely to hear, because you've talked about the fact that we need to have more representation and tell our own stories. So do you feel that you were actually telling your own story, that there was real representation of
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, for example, there's a story about K&N Pool Center. And when I was young, I used to go there often after school and even after college. And there's a story around this and about that area and the people there, and the specific details were so on point. So, for example, the Street Fair arcade is mentioned. I remember me and my friends spending lots of our pocket money on playing Street Fair at the K&N Pool Center. And that place is gone now, unfortunately. But, it brought me right back to that time there. And for that story, I played Raj and Ashraf. And it's quite difficult, to be fair. That was quite difficult because I had to do two different voices and speak to myself at one point. So, that was quite difficult.
Wow, it's a technique that you got to learn. And I love the fact that you are able to transport us back to a space that resonates to so many people across Luton. And that's a bygone era, and you were bringing it to life. So I'm sure, it's going to create some intrigue and interest in that. But I'm really glad that you have basically said it was, a nice representation with all the memories in that. Wow. Anything else that you're getting involved in or wanting to get involved in? Any other projects?
Yeah, so Sonia is doing like a mini documentary about Luton.
Okay.
So I'll be helping her with that as well soon, very, very soon.
Oh,
but I know she's
fantastic.
already playing along. Hello?
Brilliant. So that's excellent. So you're going to be going back to where it all began with Sonia. Sonia's your niece, and she's doing a documentary around Luton. So there seems to be a lot of interest in Luton at the moment when it comes to script writing, filmmaking. This is a place to be, right, Sarge?
Yeah, especially with the Luton Town Football Club, getting to the Premiership now.
Of course,
so
of course.
That's really increased our reputation as well.
Oh, definitely, and it's really put us on the map. What was that moment like for you when they'd got that win and made it to the Premier League?
It was amazing. It was amazing. I was so happy and proud. I don't even really watch football like that. But when they won and they got into the Premiership, I'm going to watch now every match they play now. So it's got someone like me who's not really much into football, because I'm a bit of a geek, but I'm going to watch it now every match. And I would love to even go and see them if possible, but I know tickets are very scarce. But it was an amazing moment. And I know Luton will just hopefully grow now in positivity and grow in many other ways, economically, financially, etc. Yeah.
Indeed, so indeed. It was a tremendous moment. And I think it resonated with everyone, young and old. It didn't matter what culture, what background, what faith. Everybody was just connected with just being part of Luton and seeing that happen. So, well done to Luton Town FC. Folks, if you're listening into the show, we've got another 5 minutes left to the end of the show, and I'm joined by Shahj Miah, who is a director, actor, filmmaker. He's the founder of Hidden Tiger Films, and he's been talking to us about the release of his second YouTube film. It's a short film called Gangs of Luton 2, which focuses on the topic of gang culture, gang crime, and the purpose of this film is to educate the young people to the consequences of gang culture. This has actually been a voluntary initiative that he has done with his team, and the whole purpose is to give back to the community and support and help them. And this is the second series. It's the final episode of Gangs of Luton, and he has mentioned to us that you can connect with him on social media if you'd like to find out more about the film. He's got on the platform. So Shahj, please tell our listeners how they can connect with you, so that more people get to view this film.
So if you go to our channel on YouTube called Hidden Tiger Films, which is spelled as you would think, you would find our content there. We have 3 short films. One is on mental health, and these 2 is about gangs and drug dealing. You can message us through YouTube if you have a YouTube account, or leave a comment, and I'll get back to you there. I'm also on Instagram under Shahj Miah, that's Shahj, then Miah is Miah, and you can direct message me through Instagram. I'm also on Twitter too. So they're the 3 platforms I'm currently using, and you can message me, and we can connect that way. Yeah.
Fantastic. And any other scripts on the back burner? Are you writing anything else?
So I've written and co-written 3 now. So the next one I believe will be from one of my team members, Azza Sohail Islam. He's going to do I think he's doing one next. So we may work on that eventually. But I don't have anything. I'm not writing anything just yet.
But you're being inspired, aren't you?
I'm always bursting with creativity. So I've always got ideas in my head. I've always want to do a few things and stuff like this, but I haven't started writing anything just yet.
Fantastic. And is this where you've always wanted to be? Is this what you've always wanted to do?
Yes and no, in a way. I mean, I've always wanted to, as growing up, always wanted to, be in the filmmaking world. But unfortunately, as it was growing up in the 90s, especially from my background, South Asian Muslim community, it was kind of frowned upon. Mm-hmm. So I was steered away from it. But then through Allah's will, somehow I was steered back into it. So it was always a deep desire to be creative, and I've always have been creative. But I kind of still got steered away through unfortunate circumstances, and then steered back into the world. Yeah.
And I love the fact that you're actually supporting your niece to kind of venture into her creativity, which is wonderful. And so are you seeing more opportunities now available for South Asian and Muslim young people in the arts than compared to when you were growing up?
Oh, yeah. So it's unbelievable. The difference is unbelievable. Growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, you could barely see a brown face in mainstream media. Now we're everywhere, so in a positive way. So I think, and there's more opportunities, more local opportunities as well. So I highly recommend anybody who wants to go down this field is to give it a go, because you don't want to regret anything. So, give it a go. As long as you keeping it halal, that's my opinion, of course. You just, plow forward and just try your best. Get, you don't need, even if you don't have funds, as I mentioned, I believe you just get involved, get creative, use your phone, you use the means that you have, and just, to express yourself. And then thereafter, if it's within your destiny, I believe it's going to happen anyway. If it doesn't, at least you tried and had fun.
I like the way you said you've tried and had fun. It's all about having the fun, and even better if you're able to deliver a positive message that can be impactful to the community and create the change, because this is what your work is all about, right?
Yeah, 100%. The way I see it is I always want to give back to the community, because for me, I worry a lot about my akhirah, the life hereafter. So for me, that is my main focus. So that for me, I have to always balance what I do with the life hereafter. So for me, it's like I want to help the community. So maybe on the day of judgment, I have some goodwill that helps me get to heaven. So that's for me, So it's not, for me, it's not money, it's not fame, it's not anything like this. I'm happy with the other aspects of my life. So really, for me, I just want to give back to the community, and I also want to inspire people. I want to inspire young and even older people get into the world of creativity, because I believe through the medium of film, you can educate a lot of people.
Wow.
Especially because everybody is reading, is on their phones or watching YouTube. They're not reading papers and articles, etc., like our elders did. Everything's all social and video.
Thank you
and film content.
so much, Shahj. It is the end of the show, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you join us. Thank you so much. From us, Assalamu alaikum. Join me next week.
Thank you for having me.